Breeze Nation, what is good? It's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love to another edition of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Friday is here, ladies and gentlemen. And so on a Friday, as always, man, we got to break down what's happening heading into the game. Tyreek Stevenson, is he going to be benched? That is the question on the table right now. And realistically speaking, what does it mean? We'll ask that. Of course, we got to take a look at this Bears injury report. Boys, it's not good. It's not good. Chicago Bears are in a bad spot. And then the question, which Bears offense is real? Me and Joe kind of started talking about this yesterday on the show. Which Bears offense is the real offense moving forward? I think this game will be very big and exposing that. All that and more today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave that 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. I need y'all go ahead, do me a favor and
come on. Push the button. Come on. Push the button. Come on, push the button.
Yeah, come on, push your button.
You heard what she said.
y'all heard what Sue Young said. Push the goddamn button. Stop playing with us, man. Listen, shout out to the chat in the building, man. It's just going to be a solo dolo episode today. So I am here with you, the old school Pat and the People style videos. Baki in the chat, what's good, my guy? Crimson in the building, greetings and go Bears. Daniel Barry in the building with a hey. Big Yer from Noah P. Shout out to Noah P. Couple of years in the chat. Chef Mac, Chadwick in the building. Jay Capone Don, I'll be sure. What's the word? The I'll be sure references is crazy. Somebody called me that because I was doing because I dropped the new single. By the way, tap in with the latest single over on all DSPs right now. Greatest ever. We got some new music coming out as well. A lot of stuff in the works, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of stuff in the works. But that's not why you're here. You're here to talk a little bit of Bears football, as the conversation around Tyreek Stevenson is an interesting one. As we head into this game, the Chicago Bears stay mired in shroud around who's going to be starting or who's going to be sitting in this game. And I think what's interesting about this conversation is when we hear from Dan Wiederer yesterday, not only in his article, also on 670, but also in a tweet that he dropped. He said, from what I understand, it will not be a surprise if Tyreek Stevenson does not start Sunday in Arizona. Signs seem to be pointing in that direction. And here's my question to Bears fans, if we're being honest. What does benching him for a series, a play, a drive do? Are you going to bench him for the game? Probably not. Why? Because I have eyes and I can see the injury report, and no matter how mad people are this week, Tyreek Stevenson is a good player. No matter how mad people are heading into this game, we know Tyreek Stevenson is a good player. Tyreek Stevenson is not somebody you can go to battle without, especially when I look at this injury report and I see no Jaquan Brisker. I see Kyler Gordon limited, but are you going to just throw Kyler Gordon back out there at that second DB spot coming off of that leg or off of that hamstring injury? And realistically speaking, you know your defense is better if Tyreek Stevenson is out there with Kyler Gordon being able to blitz from that nickel position. We know this. Now, if you're going to bench Tyreek Stevenson for an entire game to send a message, that's different. That's a different conversation. And you know what? I've seen coaches in the NFC North that you currently have do that. I saw Dan Campbell do that. I've seen Matt LaFleur do that. That is a, hey, you will not disrespect the culture that we're building here. You will not disrespect what this team stands for. I don't care if we lose this game. We will not do that. I would rather lose than let you disrespect this team. But this would be a first in the case of Matt Eberflus, right? And is this a point for you to start setting the standard here? Is this a point for you to start trying to prove your standard all of a sudden with Tyreek Stevenson? Maybe a little bit more because he's on the defense, because Flus runs the defense. Maybe Flus cares a little bit more in that situation, right? That could be the case. Because the two previous people that we always point to are who? Nate Davis, we always look at him, and then we always look at Chase Claypool. Those are the two where we say, well, if you want to talk about disrespecting the hits principle, here you go. Here's your two. How are we not calling these guys out? Or why did it take so long for these guys to get called out? I think there's a difference when you realistically do make a play that costs you a game. I know in totality he doesn't cost the entire game, but when he made a play, a boneheaded play that did cost you a win. He tips the football, it goes back into the hands of the defense or Noah Brown, touchdown. We know how it ends. We're on to Arizona. So maybe it's a little bit more egregious, but the fact that Nate Davis was allowing your quarterback to get killed for the first 3 weeks of the season, that's pretty egregious. Now you do eventually bench him. You do eventually move on from him and don't go back to him. And it'll be very, very interesting to see this week if he gets his job back. We'll talk about that as well. Because you're in a tough spot. But is this the spot where you want to say, hey, I know Marvin Harrison Jr. is out there. I know they got Trey McBride. I know that this offense is a top 5 offense in the NFL. You know what? I'm setting the standard on this team. I'm making the call. He's benched. If you bench him for an entire game and you still go out there and dominate defensively, kudos to you, Flus. Clap it up. Where's Kobe? Where's Kobe White? There he is. There. Clap it up. If you bench him for an entire week and you do it, bench, sure. Sure. You're not. You're not. You're going to bench him for a drive or at least a play, and then he's going to sub in. He's not going to be the starting DB, but I guarantee you if it comes down to crunch time, he's going to be the DB that's on the field more times than not. It's not like he's going to be benched and not playing this game. Let's not confuse the words here. There are varying degrees of benching. And if we're not going to be serious about the benching, what does that say? Are you just trying to appease fans at that point? Are you just trying to, because stick with your guns no matter what? That's my thing. Don't appease the talking heads. Don't try to appease me. Don't try, because listen, I've sat here all week and said, I don't think Matt Eberflus is as bad as everyone else does. I think he's made great strides this season. Is he still screwing up? Yeah. But I'm not to the point where I'm sitting here like JC is, who's in the chat, battering him in butter and flipping him around in the pan. Ayo. Shout out to Chicago Bears Breeze. If y'all see that in the chat, take a quick second to subscribe to that channel as well. By the way, shout out to y'all pulling up over 100 in the chat. No. But let's be objective about this. If we're having a conversation on benching Tyreek Stevenson, what does benching him for a half really do? What does benching him for? Because it's not like he's benched and not going to play. You need him. And I said this on the Chicago Bears podcast today. I was on there with John Yurkovich, and we had a good conversation on this. He's more. I love the fact that he's more. You know, just because things go wrong, we always run to blame the coaches. When hey, players got to make plays too. I think that's a great conversation to have on this. But the funny part, I think, about this whole thing is, it just feels so forced. It just feels so people were upset, so we're gonna bench him. Unless you do it for the game. Again, like I said, if you do it for the game, that's a different conversation. If you got the cojones to go out there and say, I don't care that we got MHJ on the other side versus Josh Blackwell, run it. Here we go. But the conversation around the head coach, to me, the conversation right now, like, just stick to your guns. I'd respect that more than you just benching a guy for a drive and then throwing him out there. You've got your team to 4-3. No matter how you got your team to 4-3, don't make it seem like you don't believe in the 4-3. Should you be 7-1 in a lot of people's minds? Maybe in some people's minds up in that building? Yeah. Yeah. Or 6-1? Yeah. Should you be heading into this week trying to go 7-1? Yeah. You should. But you're not there anymore. All you can do is control the games that you have right now. And if you're going to bench him for a play, if you're going to bench him for a drive, if that is the drive that this game comes down to and you lose that game, then what? Now we're packing stuff up. I don't like I don't like half doing things. I just don't. Maybe that's spending so much time with my grandfathers growing up and you know, they were very much, you don't have to do it. You go all in. If you're going to do something, do it the entire way. This feels like if you bench him for a drive, for a half, for whatever it is, you're half doing it. And so I don't know. This one to me, not the end of the world. We'll see what ends up happening around this team. I think the question is more so on this coaching staff as far as what is the identity that you want to put out there? Are you going to let your team disrespect these things? And the one thing that I do want to say, they switched their practice around this week. All of a sudden, the walkthrough was on Wednesday. It was not on Friday. This is kind of where I was going earlier about bringing up the Chicago Bears podcast. You know, I do wonder if this was, and Matt Eberflus said it was because he wanted to give guys time to try and get healthy. You didn't have enough bodies out there on the offensive line to practice with. Well, you didn't have that at all. You didn't have that this week. You didn't have that at all this week. Your offensive line is still banged up and is shambles. You still have major injury concerns. So I wonder if the practice was switched so that Flus could have that conversation with no cameras around on a Wednesday to set the tone on a couple of things that went down this week after the play. To set the tone on the standard of the team, which, you know, listen, sometimes you got to reiterate that a few games in. 7 seems a little excessive, but sometimes you got to reiterate that. By the way, over 200 and a 200. I wonder if there was some movement in this week's schedule because Wednesday ended up just being a walkthrough. Normally the walkthrough was on Friday. I wonder if there was movement in the schedule this week to try and say, hey, we're not doing that. What we just saw is completely unacceptable, and we're going to practice in a different way today because of that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. We still got a lot to talk about on today's show. We got to break down this Bears injury report. Injury report looks scary for the Chicago Bears as they head in to Arizona. It does not feel good looking at the left side of that line, even dealing with the fact that one of those guys is your rookie who you assumed probably would be the stand-in guy, but a couple left tackles missing off of this list. Tevin Jenkins listed as limited. We'll talk about all that and more after a word from our sponsors. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and watching the show. Today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by Aura. Have you ever done a Google search on your own name? You'd be surprised what pops up. Your full name, email address, home address, health records, your relatives. It's all out there. And that's why I've been using Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests just for me. Cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it protects me from hackers who could use that information to help them access my social media, bank accounts, and other sensitive information. It's really simple to set up. I don't have to download several apps or go to things like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft, but you can get all of that in one place with Aura. I get everything at one affordable price as well. You may already have one or two of these tools, but not having Aura is like leaving the front door locked while leaving the back door and windows wide open. For you to be able to take advantage of Aura, we got a special deal for you here today. Stop data brokers from exposing your personal information. Go to my sponsor at https:/aura.com/the Windy City. Again, that is aura.com/the Windy City to get a 14-day free trial and see how much of your information is being sold. Welcome back. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love, man. Watch your back door, man. Keep yourself safe out here. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Couple more conversations I want to have before we get up out of here, man. Of course, we got to talk about this offensive line situation. A lot of concerns for the offensive line heading into this week, especially on the left side, and just the offense in general. I want to have a conversation with Bears fans about this offense in general, because to me, I think that there is mass panic in the streets, and I don't know if we have to have that. All that more on today's episode, man. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. You haven't done so, take a second to hit that like button, subscribe to the page, man. Leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. All right. The Chicago Bears injury report is out, ladies and gentlemen, and it's not good. It's not good. In fact, it is terrifying. You have literally no left side of your O-line. Kiran Amegadjie was a DNP all week. He is out with a with a calf issue. Who knows how long that could linger? Remember, Kiran Amegadjie came into the season with some injury concerns as well. Those continue through. Jaquan Brisker is out as well. DNP concussion. Never really had a chance to get over that concussion protocol. Braxton Jones, your other starting left tackle, out with a knee issue. That's a little bit concerning. Montez Sweat is questionable. He was out with a shin issue. Remember, that kept him out of the final play that ends up being the Hail Mary. Ryan Bates was limited. His 21-day window is now open. He could be designated for return as well, but we will see if that is going to be the case. Kyler Gordon is questionable. He was limited with a hamstring today. He would be somebody that if he could play, it would be interesting to kind of see how the Tyreek Stevenson situation plays out. Maybe Kyler Gordon gets the start, and if there is an issue, you put Stevenson back out there. Tevin Jenkins was limited yet again. He spent most of this week limited. Again, Wednesday was a walkthrough situation, but Thursday DNP, Friday limited. He's going to be questionable. Larry Bourne was a full go. It's just a matter of can they get him on the roster. And then Mercedes Lewis, as always, he was fine on Thursday. He got a rest day and comes back as a with a what's the word I'm looking for here? Comes back full with no concerns, basically. But here's the thing, right? You're in a situation right now, if you're the Chicago Bears, where your left side of your line is in absolute shambles. And you have to ask a very, very tough question. Do you have to give Nate Davis his job back? Nate Davis has been somebody who has been basically thrown aside. He has not been a part of this team in the slightest. He is not somebody who the Bears have relied on, even when they have had injury concerns before. He is not somebody who The Bears have even looked to go back to with injury concerns in a game, but you are now getting so thin at positions. And the real question is, right, are the Bears going to be able to clear enough roster spots? Because that's what you have to do. You have to make room for roster spots to get Ryan Bates, to get Larry Borom on this roster. I think that would be the logical thing to do, but you do have to ask the question, are you going to bring a guy like Nate Davis back into the fold? Because you're in a bad spot. And listen, I understand the mindset of Nate Davis. I understand what he brought to the team, and most Bears fans are going to say no, but who are you turning to? Matt Pryor has left tackle experience right now. He's playing your right guard spot. You're going to need somebody out there who does have left tackle experience in the slightest. And really, there's nobody else on this roster. Ryan Bates was a right tackle. He also played right guard. He had a couple of snaps at left tackle. I mean, he's been all across this line, but that's not what you want. Larry Borom does have that, but are you going to throw Larry Borom back out there in this situation? First game back, not to say that Arizona's coming at you with this dominant defensive line, but are you going to throw him right back out there to the point where, yeah, your first matchup not only is you back, but you're also starting? You would like to ease him back in. I think that's a real question that you have to ask when it comes to this offensive line and where you're at right now. You're not going to be in a better position. You're not going to be in a better situation. And Matt Eberflus has talked about, with the entire trade deadline coming up, are you going to move on from Nate Davis? Are you going to make a trade? Are you going to try and bring somebody else in here to fit that spot? He's talked about how Nate he's always said Nate will be needed at some point if there is an injury concern. Is that this week? Listen, I wouldn't want you to. I think that you can damage yourself more by putting a guy back out there whose heart is not all into it over putting a guy out there who may not have the talent to go out there and make a play. But at a certain point, you do have to have the conversation on, all right, are we throwing just guys out there? Are we just throwing bodies at this situation to the point where those bodies are injury concerns yet again, right? We threw Kiran out there at left tackle. He gets hurt again. And I'm not saying that, that Matt Eberflus made the wrong call there. I think you should have then put Kiran out there. Maybe don't put him in for his first game ever in one of the more important games. Maybe put him in when Braxton got hurt in that Carolina Panthers game. And then he doesn't go out there looking like Bambi with his baby deer legs going left and right, trying to figure out who the heck's standing where, what's going on. Jurko talked about that today as well. First NFL experience. The game is probably flying past this kid. You drafted a project in the third round. You threw the kid out there. You threw him out to the Wolves. And guess what? The Wolves got some bites in, and he's banged up. It sucks. But to me, if we're having a conversation on, throwing guys out there, do you throw the guy out there who is the guy with starting right guard competency and throw Matt Pryor on that left side? Matt Pryor's done a good job out there at right guard. Right guard is probably more of his position of comfort than left tackle. It's a tough conversation to have. And I see you. I see you, Breeze Nation. Breeze Nation is not a fan for putting Braxton Jones back in. Rod D said no. Ron Winarski said no choice. James Charles dropping the no in there as well. It's tough. It's tough. You're in a bad spot right now with your offensive line. And again, I'm not going to sit here and talk about the addressing the O-line issue, because you can never predict injury. You can never predict that guys are going to get banged up, that guys are going to get hurt. What I will say that is a concern is one of the major pieces you traded for, who we don't know is an elite piece. Hopefully he can return back. And Ryan Bates, what kind of impact is he going to have on this game? What kind of impact is he going to have an impact on this game? Is he somebody who you feel is going to be ready enough to return in this game? If he is, maybe you're not in as bad a situation and you're feeling better about the Nate Davis situation. But at the end of the day, that's about you possibly making moves, you possibly cutting guys from the roster to create a roster spot. Are you ready to do that? You know what I mean? Like, I just think that at the end of the day, you made a lot of miscues at the O-line to start things off. And now they're coming back to bite you on the back end. And that's just to start with the talent. We're talking about possibly having to throw Larry Borom back out there. You're talking about, if Kiran was able to go, I didn't feel confident that Kiran was going to be able to go out there and hold up the left side of that line. Not based on what I saw Sunday. Was he the worst left tackle I've ever seen? No, he wasn't the worst left tackle I've ever seen. Did he look like he was coming in ready and prepared to play? Absolutely not. And sometimes that's the worst player to put out there, the guy that's not ready. You made a mistake. Hopefully, this guy turns into somebody who is better. But you drafted a project in the 3rd round. That's a problem. 3rd round is not project round. Lynn Diesel with the $5 super chat. Appreciate you chiming in, man. Said, when do we start pointing fingers at our training staff and our conditioning staff? I'm not pointing fingers at guys like that. I mean, listen, it's football. Guys get hurt. Offensive linemen get hurt. Bodies get bent. This is normal stuff. We spent most of this season going, wow, we're really not dealing with a lot of injuries. This is nice. This is impressive. We spent most of our season doing that. I'm not pointing fingers and blaming guys for guys getting hurt. Welcome to the NFL. Welcome to guys playing a violent sport. Bodies get banged up. That's what happens. It sucks that it's our offensive line. It sucks that we're sitting here talking about the question of how many offensive linemen were on that list there for the Bears. We're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 offensive linemen that are on your injury report right now that all could be impact players for your team. That sucks. It does. It sucks. But at the same time, I'm not sitting here saying, oh, you're the problem. You're the one who's at fault. You're the issue. It's football. At the end of the day in football, people get hit. People get hurt. That's how the game goes. And so for me, at the end of the day, I think that the big thing right now is figuring out how you're going to shuffle this offensive line around, figuring out how are you going to put guys in a position to go out there and be successful. And that's what it comes down to. Because you've got a left side that is going to probably be falling apart and your young quarterback is going to be behind it. You've got a left side that's going to have questions and your young quarterback is going to be behind it. And that's why I bring up the Nate Davis question. Is Nate Davis going to have to be somebody who ends up having to go out there? Because do you want your entire offensive line to be with subpar talent? Heck, you're at a point right now where you're limited at left guard as well. And let's be real about this, guys. You were sitting there with the Duggernaut out there at left guard. Your backup center became your starting left guard in that game. Actually didn't do too terrible of a job if we're being 100% honest on it. Actually was not the worst left guard I've seen out there. But when Tevin Jenkins got rolled up, stepped up at that left guard position. Who do you go to? That's the major question. That's the major question that you have, especially heading into an Arizona game that for Matt Eberflus, for this team as a whole, is a must-win game. If you're going to make the playoffs, anything short if you lose this game of sweeping your division, you're out. And by the way, you're not sweeping this division. I've said this multiple times. I think the best team in this division, the Detroit Lions, are not going to go 4-2 in this division. The best team in this division will probably not go 4-2 in this division, if we're being honest. There's probably going to be a bunch of 3-3, and then somebody's going to go 2-4. You just hope you're not the team that ends up going 2-4. But we'll see where this Bears team ends up heading into this game banged up is a major concern for me about the team. Let's keep the conversation moving along, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave the 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Now I want to have the conversation about the Bears offense, because we have seen a Bears offense going out there that has been able to score points. 3 of your last 4 games, you have been able to put up 24, 36, 35, 3 games that were won by the offense. In the latest game, the Chicago Bears offense was putrid for 3 quarters. But at the end of those 3 quarters, you unlocked something with that big Tyreque Stevenson, with that big DeAndre Swift run. And all of a sudden your offense was able to move. You're moving the football down the field. You're scoring touchdowns. You get 2 drives in that second half that puts you in scoring position. One, of course, ends up being the handoff to the to your starting center, which was just dumb at the end of the day. With the handoff to your starting or your backup center, I should say. The ball is fumbled. You don't get it. Defense gets the ball back. You go down. You score a touchdown. So in a game that you were terrible offensively for 3 quarters, you figure it out. You get your offense going in that final quarter. End of third, heading into the final quarter. And you set up 3 touchdown drives, 2 of which turned into touchdowns. One, in my mind, was taken out of your hands by your offensive coordinator. Now, all of a sudden, the Bears offense is the worst thing ever, and no one believes in it anymore. And I just want to know how you got there from 3 tough quarters of football, because we do understand that this is a rookie quarterback, right? We do understand this is his first season playing against NFL defenses, right? I'm just asking because it seems like everyone is back to where they were the season before when Justin Fields was here and the offense could not get out of its own way. And I don't know if we're in that same spot. I have rewatched that Commanders game, and it sucks every time I do, watching the all 22 and all of that. And I see wide receivers open. I see times where the offensive line breaks down. I see times where Caleb Williams misses them, but I see wide receivers open. Now, if you come into this game and you say you're scared about the O-line, I understand that. But it almost seems like people are sitting here saying there's no hope for this offense moving forward. And I'm confused where that is coming from when the last 3 weeks we have talked about Caleb Williams being one of the better quarterbacks at getting the football out against the blitz. We've talked about Caleb Williams being one of the better quarterbacks at getting the football out under pressure. Why does this not go down as a bad game for Caleb Williams, but instead, oh God, this is the worst thing ever. This guy sucks and we're in a bad way. Why does this go down as Shane Waldron has no idea what he's doing calling an offense and he's the worst? Now, if we want to talk about the trick plays, I'm here for them. They're stupid. But there are times where you just had a rookie quarterback being a rookie quarterback, and maybe you want to take those things out of his hands, right? The DJ Moore screen pass. A lot of people blame Shane Waldron for that. That's a read option play. That's a read option play. Caleb Williams had the choice to hand the football off or throw the football to DJ Moore on the screen pass. He chose to throw the football to DJ Moore on the screen pass. That's a bad read. That's a rookie quarterback. When Caleb chose to take the deep shot to Rome Odunze, overthrowing to wide open DJ Moore, who probably gets you 15 yards over there, overthrows the deep shot by about 10 yards easily over the safety's head. Just not a good throw, not a good spot to put the ball. Don't like that throw in that situation. Wide receiver still open. Drive keeps going. Very next play, boom, hits DJ Moore, first down, penalty. Oop. Illegal formation. Keenan Allen pops wide open. Up, boom, right there. There it is. Easy throw. Got to make it. Boom, overthrows him. It's a bad game for a rookie quarterback. I don't know if I'm at the point now. If you come out in this Arizona game, right? Arizona's not a good defense either. They have I believe, are the 28th ranked defense in the NFL right now, 29th, I believe, actually, per PFF. I'll double check that while I'm riffing here. I believe they are the 29th ranked defense in the NFL. I believe that. The run defense wise, they are woeful, and you should be able to run the football on this team. Yeah, they're the 29th ranked defense per PFF. There's a lot of opportunity for you to run the football on this team. There's a lot of opportunity to put up big points. All of a sudden now, though, with the fear coming out of this game is we're not going to be able to stop the Arizona Cardinals, and we're not going to be able to score. And I don't understand how a bad game for a rookie quarterback that, realistically speaking, he turned into a good game is the offense is over and we're falling off the face of the earth. By the way, gaming rest. Bye. Like, I'm going to call out the quarterback when the quarterback has a bad game. He had a bad game. If you can't handle that, bye. I don't care. Like, we're going to have real conversations on this show. And you know what real conversations are? Rookies have bad games. You know what real conversations are? Sometimes rookies struggle. And in this case, Caleb figured it out. Struggled the entire game and then figured it out. Your defense puts you in a tough spot where a tip pass is how you lose the game. Caleb won you the game. But for some reason in people's minds, they've reverted back to where this offense was in seasons previous. And I don't know if we're there, guys. Watching that all 22 for 3 quarters, I didn't sit there and go, we got an offensive coordinator that does not know how to attack a defense. I didn't feel that way. I thought Shane Waldron schemed up some good stuff in the first 3 quarters. I thought he schemed up some good stuff in the fourth quarter as well. I really think he only schemed up one horrible play that will stick on the resume because we're here with the result of the game. But I don't know if y'all know this or not. And yes, the players have to make plays. I love that the players make the plays, but you can't just pick and choose when you blame who and who you blame. Listen, who schemed up the DeAndre Swift 55-yard run? Who schemed up the 2 drives that Caleb Williams puts you in the 1? Does he F1 up? 100%. I will not let that go. You handed it off to a backup center. But how do you go from, in 4 weeks, you put up 24 versus a Rams team that did have a solid defense and is still playing some solid defense to this point. And now they're healthy and now they're starting to figure some things out. But you put up 24. You put up 36 over the Panthers, who are dog water. Okay, I get that one. And you put up 35 over the Jaguars. And you had one game where your quarterback struggled in, and there you go. That's where it gets tough. Now it's over. Now he's done. I can't subscribe to that level of inconsistency with faith in the team. I know the PTSD. I know the history, but that's called a bad game, not a bad season. And ladies and gentlemen, we've had bad seasons. We are not having a bad season right now. Now, if you want to say there's games we should have had, I'm right there to agree with you. But I've been in bad seasons. Last season was a bad season. 0-4 start. Playoff hopes basically dead by the time that you're getting anywhere near the trade deadline, but you're still trying to keep hope alive. A miracle puts you up drops you to 4-3, and one boneheaded play by your wide receiver is what got, or by your DB is what it took to get you there. We are not having a bad season. I can point to you some bad seasons. I've covered the last, 6 seasons professionally. There's bad seasons in there. I think my first season covering the Bears was 17? I think the 17 season. Yeah, with Mitch. I literally started the show when we drafted Mitch. This ain't that. 2020 was a bad season. You're in a spot right now where even with all the questions on the head coach, even with all the questions on, where will this coaching staff be, you're not going to finish this season unless it just falls off the wheels with the same amount of wins you did last year. You're not winning 3 more games this season. You're probably going to finish around 9 wins, 9-10 wins. That still can get a head coach fired. You're heading out of a season with a possible 9-10 win season to bring in new coaches, new coordinators, all of that stuff, if it does come to that. But you're heading into that with a 10-win team. So you're moving on to improve, not to take a step back. You're moving on to get to the next level, not to go the other direction. If it does come to that. I can't subscribe to the level of we have taken this woeful fall off a cliff moment because of this Commanders game. Does the Commanders game suck? 100%. Am I over it? I'm not going to lie to you. Unless we go on a heck of a playoff run, I'm probably not going to be over it. I will always think about that when it comes back to this season. That will be one of those plays that sticks in Bears fans' minds for the rest of our lives, probably. We will have a conversation on this forever. But that does not mean that you're currently in a horrible season. In fact, I think a lot of Bears fans think, hey, you beat Arizona, you beat the Patriots, you're 6-3 heading into Green Bay. Now, realistically speaking, do you get over Green Bay? I don't know. You haven't been able to do that. I can't sit here and tell you you're going to get over the Green Bay. By the way, over 300. 300. I can't sit here and tell you you're going to beat Green Bay. I can't sit here and tell you you're going to beat Detroit. I can't do that after a loss like this. That hurts. But you're telling me you're 6-3 heading into this. You probably end up going 3-3 in the division. I would assume there's another win in there as well. And you get to 10. Bears fans, when's the last time we had a 10-win season? That doesn't seem far-fetched for me to believe. A 10-win season still doesn't seem far-fetched for me to believe. In my mind, I can still see that. Does that mean you make the playoffs? Nope. Shout out to Baki in the building as well. Hit that like button if you agree. Hit that like button if you disagree. Just hit the like button, man. 234 in the building, 73 likes on the video. Let's get the likes up over 100 likes in the building. Let's get it over 150. Let's shoot for 150 before we get up out of here, man. Baki, shout out to Baki. He said, I don't know if this was still classified as breaking news or anyone has seen it, but some reports are saying Bears have given Khalil Herbert permission to seek a trade. I have not seen that yet. I have not heard that yet. That would be interesting, though. You move on from Herbert. You really don't have a use for him. I will say this. Last week was the first week where I could clearly say I would rather have DeAndre Swift over Khalil Herbert because he did something that I just know Khalil Herbert won't do. They brought that linebacker blitz in. I think it was Bobby Wagner coming in. And, I mean, DeAndre Swift saves Caleb Williams. He only saves him for a second, but it's a second enough to get that ball out. DeAndre Swift runs in there, boom, big hit, gets knocked over because he's not supposed to be stopping linebackers, but gets knocked over, but he throws his body out there. Khalil Herbert ain't doing that. Khalil Herbert's not doing that. Last week was the first time where I was like, this is a better option to have. Now, would I have paid him $8 million? No. Still wouldn't have paid him $8 million. Still wouldn't have thrown $8 million away. Okay, so this is apparently coming from the Chicago Tribune. The Bears have given Khalil Herbert permission to seek a trade. Per the Chicago Tribune, Herbert, 26, hasn't received a carry since week 3 and has been out of the Bears running back rotation for most of the season. Herbert has proven that he can produce when given opportunities. I would assume you're trying to make that move to try and open up a roster spot. You're probably trying to get some picks back on that. I don't think that you're going to get a player back on that. I mean, listen, it's hopefully he lands in a good spot. I think Dallas is a team that's desperate and comes calling. I don't know if I'd trade him to any team that I got to see. But I mean, listen, if you're going to move on from Khalil Herbert, tell the Cowboys what you got. Cowboys, they might be so desperate at this point in the season, you might be able to get a fourth out of them. Cowboys are in a horrible spot. I don't know if I've seen the Cowboys in this kind of spot. Cowboys are so desperate right now, they might literally be like, can you send us him and Nate Davis and we'll give you like a 4th round pick? That could turn into a conditional third. They're in a bad. I don't know if I've seen the Cowboys in this spot in my life, and I am relishing all of it. I am loving all of it. And by the way, I don't think that's the logical thing to do. I'm just telling you, I think they're that desperate. I don't think that is the like giving up a 4th round pick for those guys. But I think they're that desperate. I think that's where they're at right now. Go out and get them. Go out and get them. Find a way to get a deal done. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, man. Leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Listen, we got a lot still coming you guys' way. Of course, Sunday we will be live for the Chicago Bears game versus the Cardinals. It's a 3:05 kick. So we'll all be in the studio watching that game with you guys. What else we got coming this week? Oh, tonight, Bulls live call, or I can't call it that. It's not a live call. Bulls watch party. Go subscribe to my Pap the Designer page. I will have a watch party up for the Chicago Bulls over there. Also, if you want to tap in with us over on Playback, you can get a VIP pass, or if you have League Pass and you live in the Chicagoland area, you can get around those blackout issues if you sign in with your league pass or someone else's league pass, and you can watch the game there. If you're in the Chicagoland area and you have somebody that has league pass or you have league pass, you can sign in there, watch the game in Chicago, no problem. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, man. Leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. It's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. I appreciate you guys for rocking with us on a Friday. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bear down, one love. Let's hope that we figure this thing out, man. I'm sick of having these same conversations every single year. Peace.
The best show for Chicago sports. Oh my God!